Man, this stuff is good. Ironside, you want a piece of this? No, my lord. I promised Theodra I would stop indulging so often. Understandable. Whew, I need to take another hit.
What are you doing?
What do you think? I just got a fresh pack. Oh! And it's smacking me harder than any negative fate could. Thank you to our $5 patrons, Redwolf4765, Midnight Gemlord, and Sean. I'd also like to give thanks to our $3 members, Recliner Plays and Redwolf4765. And a very big thank you to our $25 patron, Alex Ice Rose. And another very big thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. Now, before this breakdown / review of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, Chapter 102, please don't forget to leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also hit that little notification bell to miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also I do a Patreon down below, each one as well as $1 month, exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as well as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, let's hop into last week's poll. So last week I ended up asking y'all with the let's just call it unfortunate. I mean, I guess you kind of earned it. The unfortunate death of Teniak. I wanted to know. Four Knights of the Apocalypse. I gotta know. Do you think that the demons that were sent off will survive their escape from Arthur? Or do you think the King of Chaos will shut them down as he shut down his own servant? Pick a choice and let me know why down below. And there were two options. There was unalive, where, well, they were unalived, and survive, where they were not unalived. And I'll admit, I was definitely with the losing camp here, because with an overwhelming 61% of the vote, you guys chose survive. You believe that the demons were going to make it. One way or another, they were going to make sure that they survive this encounter. And admittedly, I definitely align with the 39%, right? Because the thing is, Arthur packed one of his own people, and he obviously, doesn't necessarily care too much about him. Like, the biggest example ever, Ironside, one of his most loyal men from as far as we can tell, got tortured for getting poisoned. Sure, Arthur took the poison out, but then he also, reverse incantationed a woman's own magic so that insects and other small creatures climbed out of her in order to execute her for committing treason. Admittedly, it was a little bit of treason, but to be fair, she was going to perish. Yeah, obviously there's a certain difference or lack thereof in care for Arthur's own men, and considering the demons were literally brainwashed, just straight up not even allowed to, be characters at all. They were brainwashed servants, and they failed drastically, and Io straight up betrayed him. It seemed like their fate was sealed. I had the pack ready. We already rolled the Jade pack. The Inteniac pack was a little bit insecty, but we had rolled that too. And Macduff, unfortunately, he already got lit up by Chion. Chion has that pack, and he is, to say the very least, Chion is on the moon right now with how good that Macduff pack was. So I was ready for some new packs. We had the 6 Knights of Black on bootleg. We had the 6 Knights of Black at home. I thought we were ready to smoke them up. But it looked like Nagaba had a completely different idea in terms of what he was planning to do. So I won't knock it. Shout out to the 61% of y'all who happen to be absolutely correct. And I hope you guys participate in tomorrow's poll dropping at 12 p.m. Make sure your input is included for next week's review. And now, let's hop into Chapter 102. What's up, guys? All Pencil here, and here we are to review Chapter 102 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse. Sorry. My apologies for ever saying it weird. I don't know why I would ever say it in such a different way. It's just a silly little trend, silly little idea. I don't know why I started that. My apologies. It's just a normal series, Four Knights of the Apocalypse. There's absolutely nothing fancy about it. So this chapter of Four Knights of the Apocalypse is called The Mad King. I lied. It's called Mad King. There is no the. So overall, we get to see that a certain king is in fact a little bit nettled, if you will, and not necessarily. Ironically enough, despite this chapter being called the Mad King, it was actually kind of chill for Arthur. But let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. So we open up and we are back within the realm of Camelot. And we see someone is reporting back to Arthur. And presumably the person reporting back to Arthur is Ironside. I think it is. But I'm not exactly sure because it's like disembodied voice of yeah, it is Arthur. Arthur gets reported to back by Ironside. And we see that Ironside relays the results of the battle.
One of their followers was dealt with, but all the four knights of prophecy are unharmed. As for our end, Teniac and Macduff are confirmed to have been slain.
And we see Arthur. Deep, contemplated Arthur. He takes his only good hand off his chin and just rubs his eyes. Like, you ever make that face? Like, it's not a face palm. Like, I've face palmed before. It hurts. What happens when you have a big forehead? But regardless, I've face palmed before. That's not a face palm. That's the face you make when you, like, are deeply, deeply disappointed. And you kind of want to hide your facial reaction, but like by doing it, you revealed your facial reaction. Like whenever you see this kind of face, especially from a guy with one arm, bro literally had to go out of his way to use his only upper body appendage to do this. Yeah, you know it's a bad state of affairs. And we do get to see that once again, Gwen has decided to poke the bear. And admittedly, I was about to lie to you. Let me not lie to you. I was going to say I've softened up on Gwen. No, I haven't. I still don't get this character at all. Once again, I will preface this with who knows. 100 chapters, 200 chapters down the line. What? How many years would that be? Probably 4 or 5 years from now. It's crazy. Well, if it's really 300 chapters long, like Four Knights is, I'll be doing this for 4 or 5 years. Golly. But regardless, Gwen decides to poke the bear, and I don't like the character. I don't like the character. Probably 5 years down the line, she'll be one of my favorites. Who knows? But then again, if I could go back in time and tell, like, my past self about Diane and Elizabeth or Merlin, I'd be like, don't get hopeful, buddy. So who knows? Never know with Nakaba. With that being the case, we see that Gwen has indeed decided to poke the Chaos Bear, as she says,
"Looks like to me one of them was slain by you, using curse reversal to pay back her magic. Oh no, to pay back with magic you gave her in far..."
Whoa. I cannot read. I'm so sorry, I'm illiterate.
Let me take this slowly, since this pencil fellow cannot read to save his life. Using curse reversal. To pay her back with magic you gave her is in far too bad taste.
And, before we hop into what Ironside says, that's very interesting. Very interesting. Because, listen to what I keep saying Gawain. Listen to what Gwen said here.
Using curse reversal to pay her back with magic you gave her is in far too bad taste.
Huh? Artie, my boy, you gave her that magic. Whoa. Buckaroo, Paleo, Daddy-O, you gave her that magic. Whoa now. You can do that, bro? Wait. You can do that? You can slide other people's magics? You can give away abilities? And then if you decide that they are no longer worthy of such abilities, you can take the abilities back, or at least turn the abilities on. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like something that a deity would do. It almost sounds almighty. Now hold on. There's a reason this is like specifically catching me off guard in terms of the phrasing. One, it's specifically noted that this is a curse reversal, like implying that the magic he gives out is a curse, which is interesting. I mean, presumably it can be applied as a curse. Obviously, it executed her. But it's interesting that a magic can be viewed as a curse. And to be fair, this isn't the first time. We know that the commandments are just curses. They come imbued with specific magics that give certain characters, aka the commandments, great amounts of powers and abilities. Heck, someone like Mael, when wielding 4 of them, got even more magic and abilities than the ones that were just basically implied with the commandments. He could even manipulate them. So is it entirely unheard of for characters to be able to give out their powers and, bada bing, bada boom, other characters can wield them? No, not necessarily. But this implies interesting things. One, this says and confirms that Teniac was a person. She wasn't just created. So Arthur did not go out of his way to make a human being and then give them a magic. No, he made the magic and gave it to a human being. Interesting distinction. Notably, I do think it should be entirely possible for Arthur to create people. if he can create his own world, there should be no problem with him creating people. Heck, I think Deodra is a people that Arthur may have created. So I'm a little bit interested in that. I wonder if he's going to start creating people and start imbuing them with certain magics that could be useful. Because technically, I could see Teniac being very useful with that kind of magic. I wonder if anyone else will have that kind of magic. And speaking of the Almighty, I once again wonder, this is a question I brought up way back in time, like back in the 30s, I think, when we met Ardbeg, and he perished. Does that magic of his, was that gifted to him by Arthur? Or was that something that Arthur just wanted from him? And if so, all the abilities that we see of knights, when they hypothetically fall, where do their magics go? Could Arthur take them back? At least the ones he's gifted, right? Because Ardbeg specifically says he awoke that magic then and there. Like, this wasn't a magic that was bestowed upon him as far as he knew. It was a magic that he awoke. So maybe he's safe. But now, does Arthur have that ability? And notably, to be fair, Arthur having that ability wouldn't do much for him. He's not going to fight the Four Knights or really any Seven Deadly Sins member with tiny insects. Like, I don't think he's going to be able to do that. But still, the idea that Arthur can bestow magics upon people, like the Demon King and the Supreme Deity could, presumably without giving away portions of his power, as far as we can tell. It's not like Gawain says, I keep saying Gawain. It's not like Gwen says that. She specifically says, just gave her magic. I wonder. Is Ironside's magic gifted? I don't know. We haven't seen much of young Ironside. Who else's magic was gifted? Mortlock is revealed to be Mortlockin later in the chapter. Was his magic gifted? Like, now this opens the door to so many different questions, and I'm kind of excited to see where Nakaba takes us. This is an interesting route, but who knows? You never know with Nakaba. He did waste 5 cool demons designs just to do nothing with them, unless he's saving them for the hypothetical upcoming arc. And we do get to see that in response to Gwen's prodding, Ironside's like, countermeasures must be taken against betrayal. It would be bothersome to have someone lead others to Camelot for their own safety. And while this is true, I don't know why. Like, maybe Lance is the main reason, right? Maybe Lance is the main reason, but unless Arthur has some sort of fat brain next level gigalith plan that requires the Four Knights to be stronger, why wouldn't he want them here now? Like, for all intents and purposes, it would actually be an objectively better move to get them here now while they're weak. Because the Sins wouldn't be able to help. If they were to have opened up that portal and just walked into Camelot like they were planning to at the end of last chapter, they would have walked in, and then they would have had only one viable combatant against Arthur. If that, who knows? Once again, I'm more in the camp that Arthur is suppressed in the regular mortal realm, and he's only at full power in Camelot. Once again, we didn't even see him wielding his true weapon, which is Excalibur, which he presumably has access to in Camelot. So, what you waiting for, buddy? Like, I don't know why letting them into Camelot now would be a bad thing on Arthur's part. Wouldn't he want that? Like, notably, this is where I gotta, like, pull the veil back. Yes, I understand we need to have a story, and thus lead them getting to Camelot immediately after establishing the main goal of getting Camelot is not good writing, or pacing, or anything like that. Like, it's just not. So I understand why Nakaba's not letting them in the Camelot, but from, like, an inverse perspective, that's the thing, you always gotta rationalize it. You can't just always base it on what the narrative needs, you gotta base it on what the in-character reasoning is. Why wouldn't Arthur just let them in? Because what is Demon Tristan doing to Arthur? Nothing. What is Percival doing to Arthur? Nothing. What is Gawain doing to Arthur? Nothing. And Lance may be able to do something against Arthur, but wouldn't Arthur want to fight the one guy of this new group of threats that actually has a chance against him before he hypothetically gets a decent weapon? Because who knows what kind of amps that Lance is going to get once he gets his hands on a spirit spear, or whatever Dabuzu crafts him. I lean towards the idea that it's going to be a spirit spear, but who knows? Maybe not. You never know with Nakaba. Break my ankles left and right. So with that being the case, I'm sitting here wondering, why not? Why not let him in? And sure, let's say Arthur believes he would only be able to take Lance in a one-on-one. Let's say he just suddenly believes that. For some reason, he can't just isolate the rest of the knights on his own. He's literally in his own realm. Every single one of his subordinates should be a skip and a hop away. And worst comes to worst, he could literally just broadcast, hey, everyone return home. The 4 knights are here. All of you jump him. I'm going to fight Lance. And then he would presumably win. Like in verse, it doesn't make much sense why Arthur wants to let them wander around more and get ever stronger. I don't know. I just don't know. The same, and we know he can just leave. What stops, let's be real quick, other than the plot, what stops Arthur from leaving Camelot, bada bing, bada boom, snatching up Percy, executing him off screen? Done. Same thing with Tristan, done. Same thing with Gawain, done. And then he runs the ones with Lance. Or he runs the ones with Lance. I don't know what I just said. But regardless, that's the thing. He could do it, but there's no necessarily decent plot reason I can think of. If you guys can think of a reason why Arthur wouldn't want the knights to be in Camelot right now, let me know. If it is just big, evil, super secret master plan, then it'd be like that when it'd be like that sometimes. But I don't know. It seems a little bit strange on why they wouldn't want them here now, while they're weaker than they're obviously going to become. We gotta remember, Percival went from maybe Holy Knight candidate tier, if you want to. No, let's be real. He went from civilian. Let's be completely honest. He went from slightly stronger civilian to beyond commandment level, beyond fused commandment level, in 2 weeks, if that. It really, I still think it's probably been a week at most since Percival actually started his journey. It's not been that long. So if he was able to grow that much in a week, why would you want to give him more time in more realms where he will encounter more people? Legitimately, I don't know. But who knows? Once again, Arthur clearly has no fear. Speaking of no fear, we see Guinevere is
well, now do you understand? This is what it means to pay a greater price for trying to defy fate. Because of your foolish orders, you lost 2 minions who should have lived on without perishing.
And she brings up a pretty good point. In her original prediction, neither Macduff nor Antoniac, or I keep saying Antoniac, Macduff nor Teniac actually ended up perishing. It just didn't happen in the real time. Sure, they were subdued, Lance got them, but there wasn't any real problem here. And heck, on top of that, he lost 5 mind-controlled minions, ones that were at least directly mind-controlled, and another one that was fearful of him from another species, which gave him direct access to the demon realm. That's another thing he kind of just lost. So, yeah, in terms of the original timeline versus the main timeline, Arthur, by pure technicality, did end up paying a greater price than he would have paid. Sure, he got something, but he kind of got a, 8-for-1 deal? He got one of the 4 knights' followers down, and he lost 8 people. Sure, he could probably just recapture the demons, and obviously Macduff and Teniac were not top tier, crazy, next level soldiers of his, so he didn't lose too much, but understandably from Gwen's perspective, she thinks this will deter Arthur now. Yeah, you lost 2 servants, and she doesn't even know about the other 6. So yeah, she probably thinks that this would drastically affect Arthur. Obviously, the loss of his men, the loss of humanity, would just hurt him straight down to his hard, soft, juicy core. Oh no, Arthur, how can you do this? And we even see Ironside's Your Majesty, do not lower your guard. And we see... Oh man, I love Arthur. We see that he's the price for defying fate. Is that so? Talk about no big deal. The worst I got out of that was the sacrifice of 2 people. This is great. It's worth mentioning that we hurt them emotionally rather than physically. Knights of Prophecy or not, they're still just 16-year-old kids, and now they have something to put up with. This is perfect. Guinevere, what comes next? I want to make my next move as soon as possible. Yes, I am loving it. I'm sorry. But this Arthur, this Chad, bro, he's perfect. He is perfect. Admittedly not perfect. I still went on an entire rant on why he should not be letting the 4 knights get more games, more resources, more access. None of that. And admittedly, while he does bring up a fantastic point about traumatizing them physically, I still think it is kind of dumb to let them roam free. It is. There's no reason other than the plot itself weighing down on his thick skull, that he should be letting the 4 knights wander around and get more gains. But regardless of that, The exaggerated swagger of this chaos-infused teen man. Like, I love it. I love it. And I love how disregarding he is. Like, notably, his whole shtick so far has been by humans, for humans, of humans. And that's what everyone's seen so far. And I don't even necessarily blame Gwen for getting caught up in that idea. Like, she believes that Arthur would have a negative reaction to this. But, in reality, yeah, what's 2 lives? Especially when he can make more. Like, we gotta realize, I gotta realize, and I think Gwen too, bro can just make more humans. He can just make more. It sounds bad. He can just make more humans. He can make another realm. He can make more humans. Even if he messes up the first couple times, he can figure it out. He can figure it out. And plus, there are a bunch of humans. As the demons pointed out when they rezzed, yeah, the humans are running around like maggots. That sounds bad. But like, they are running around in massive amounts, even likely at this time period compared to the other races. And top it off with the fact that we've only explored one area. A very small area, mind you. There are likely humans all over the planet. We have been locked in on Britannia, but we know that Nanashi came from a foreign land, which he ran off to after, abandoning the goddess clan. So there are other lands with other people that you can visit. There is a large swath of humans and cultures and ideas that we haven't even touched yet. Arthur losing 2 people who especially are fodder and having this kind of reaction to their loss is perfect. Once again, Arthur is evil. like it's weird to think about, but Arthur is evil. It's King Arthur. And don't get me wrong, there have been many tales where King Arthur has been portrayed as evil at this point. But still, King Arthur, the victim of the original series. Yeah, no, he's our big bad. And I like that. I like how Nakaba's not shying away from making Arthur just despicable, diabolical. It probably takes some guts. I can't imagine that the reaction to Arthur and his villainy and him being the Chaos Vessel and all that is positive. Heck, the idea of him being the Chaos Vessel alone and taking over the end of Seven Deadly Sins probably didn't go around too well. I know I wasn't the biggest fan of it at first. I know that for a fact. I know a lot of the people who I talked to about Seven Deadly Sins are also not the biggest fan of it, and I can't exactly tell how the rest of the community said or felt, because I wasn't necessarily involved in the community at that time. I was kind of just reading it week by week on my own. So realistically, I'm not sure how people feel about it, but I like that Nakaba, he isn't just dipping his toes in, he isn't just wiggling those digits a little bit. No, he has dove in head first on this Arthur's just a terrible human being. There's nothing, there's no other fancy way we can put it. There's no other nice little spin we can put it. No, Arthur's just a terrible person. I'm sorry. And I know, there are definitely people in the real world who would lose hundreds of people working for them and couldn't care less. But specifically on the personal level, considering we know Arthur and how he interacts with his people. We've seen it. Seeing him have such callous disregard, laughing at the ends of his own people's lives. That is crazy. That is crazy. This is big villain activity. Not gonna lie. And sure, you could definitely argue this hypothetically weakens Arthur as a character, because it's oh, well, he's just a big, basic, generic, big bad. He's just, he doesn't care about his minions. He doesn't care about his subordinates. He's not on that Crollo type beat. He's not on that Meryl, well, not necessarily Meryl, but he's not on that, I care about my people type beat. That's boring. And I can kind of see that. I can kind of see people thinking Nakaba's taking it too far, but I think the contrast, and once again, this is something that only works with Seven Deadly Sins. I could see a solo Four Knights reader having this issue because they know no other side of Arthur other than this one. But I think the reason this works so well is because of the context of Seven Deadly Sins. Which I know, I need to stop falling back on that, because Nakaba himself said stop falling back on Seven Deadly Sins. But knowing who Arthur was and seeing who Arthur is now, and heck, even seeing how characters like Meliodas and mainly Meliodas react to this new Arthur, someone that even in this narrative is classified as acting brand new by characters who knew him in the past, I think it's great. I think the contrast is what works really, really well. It makes me really appreciate Arthur as this character, as this villain. And once again, he's right. he's not right to an ultimate degree. I still think the loss of 8 for the emotional damage and physical loss of 1 isn't necessarily the best ratio that he could have. He definitely could have played that a little bit better, but him even rationalizing it kind of makes sense. It makes me appreciate the character, where he says, it's worth mentioning that we hurt them emotionally rather than physically. Knights of Prophecy or not, they're still 16-year-old kids, and now they have something to put up with. He brings up a fantastic point. The Knights are still kids. We obviously saw that this had some emotional impact on them. Admittedly, it's like the least emotional impact that was possible in terms of like taking out a character. Jade, as much as I like the character, the main person who had connection to him was Chion, who isn't one of the 4 knights. Lancelot could not care less. Tristan, as sad as he was with his reaction, it was mostly indifferent. Like, let's be completely honest. He kind of just tried to, oh no, if only I could have shut Aya's magic down sooner. Really, and it was whatever. He started self-loathing instead of like considering all that Jade did for him in the past as a friend, so he's barely shaken up. Heck, Gawain immediately went to gawaining all over Teniac when the opportunity was presented to her, like after processing, homie gone, barely knew him, big rips, deuces, and even Percy himself, like sure, he felt bad, but he didn't like really feel bad. So sure, is it good that they have some emotional trauma? Yeah, a little emotional trauma does everybody good. No, it doesn't. I'm sorry. If you've been emotionally traumatized, I do not mean that. But regardless, in terms of narrative storytelling, yeah, a little emotional trauma does them really, really good. And yeah, even just having the ceasing of one of their age mates' lives right in front of them, even if it wasn't in front of any of the 4 knights, yeah, it's still pretty good. I like it. I like it a lot. And I can see where Arthur's coming from. Overall, super W villain, super W antagonist. A nice little thing to note is that Ironside has a double ellipses here when he sees Arthur laughing at the end of the lies of his compatriots, the people who serve him. And I think Ironside, if he hasn't already, which he probably has, he probably knows it. If he doesn't know he's expendable, this told him directly. Like, there's not a single care in the world from Arthur about any of them. They're serving him not, most likely not out of love or care or anything like that. They're serving him because they know at any moment they tried not to, they would lose everything they know and love. For Ironside, it'd likely be Deirdre. I could see Arthur, after messing with him physically, messing with him mentally, and taking Deirdre away from him before his very eyes, and then executing Ironside. I think Ironside knows that's always on the table. If he fails, if he messes up, if he doesn't complete the task he was given, his life is just as expendable as Macduff and Teniac's. And that's got to be haunting. That's got to be haunting. And to be fair, once again, this is something that kind of exists in the real world. Like, a lot of people in higher positions than people lower than them pretty much view people as replaceable and expendable. It's kind of just a mental safety net most people give themselves, because like, oh, if you start to think about all the people you have effects on, or lack thereof, if you have any position of power over any people, whether they be co-workers, your employees, or anything like that, it gets a little bit tragic, pneumatic. So it does make sense, but specifically within the case of Arthur, where these people aren't like gonna go home and starve. No, they just can never go home unless they're going home in a casket. So I don't know. I wonder what Ironside's gonna do in general with the whole concept of things being a little bit suspicious. One thing I do have to admit is weird. Why is Arthur sitting on his hair? Like if you know, like the statue he's sitting on is his hair, or the throne. Like, this isn't the throne room that he's usually in. Where is he? Like I think no, he's not in Guinevere's room. Guinevere is in her own room on her own bed, because Arthur's talking to her through some sort of magic mirror. But like, why is he sitting on a throne that looks like his hair? Like, I don't know. I mean, it's, do what you will. Like, if you're a chaos being, do whatever you want. If I could warp reality, would I sit on I don't think I'd sit on my own hair, though. But regardless, interesting. I wonder where Arthur is. But with that being the case, obviously the next major thing is that Arthur, with this intel, with this emotional, damn it! Like, with that, he's like, okay, what's up next? Let me know. Guinevere, what comes next? I want to have my next move made as soon as possible. And we see Guinevere's like, just so you know, Arthur, you know you only change English. I swear I'm literate. It's just whenever I do the voices and try to like read and speak at the same time, my brain glitches. And my tongue glitches after the fact. So I'm sorry. Let me take it back. Just so you know, Arthur,
You know you only slightly change the future by defying fate, right?
Was Jade always destined to go? I don't think so. And by your own admission, Teniac and Macduff weren't supposed to perish. It seems like a pretty massive change to me. Like, I mean, I guess on, like, the grand universal scale, the loss of 3 humans and 6 demons ain't too much. Like, how many demons are there? Hundreds? Thousands? Probably millions, even just lowballing it. How many humans are there? Billions. Even lowballing it, even at this time period. I think there's at least 2 billion people around this time period. So I think that's billions. So like losing 3 of them. Like in terms of just living sentient organisms, yeah, I guess. And obviously in terms of narrative weight, Macduff, Teniac, and Jade aren't too important. But interesting how she says slightly here, which once again kind of proves that she, in the same way to Arthur, no matter how much she may be disgusted by his own actions, views Arthur's men and people in general in the same way that he does. Just slight alterations of fate. Nothing more, nothing less. No pity, no disgust, just things. And once again, neat. I like it. However, we do get to see that Arthur isn't playing these games. He's like,
You should mind your tongue and answer me. I believe the party is headed for Dalmary. Correct. What does the kind hand of Kaleidoscope see me playing?
and once again, Gwen. I've complained about this so much already, so I'll keep it short. Why go into the hands of the enemy when you know the enemy is a nutcase who's also a deity, so none of your little baby consequences are going to scare him? Why would you do this, Gwen? You had 2 of the strongest characters in the entire verse more than willing to protect you. But no, you ran straight to him. Why? But regardless, complained about that before. You want full length Gwen of your rants, go back to any other character review or chapter review that Gwen is in. I'm going to talk about her in her own video eventually. One of these days I'm going to sit down in front of the mic and record that too. But with that being the case, the like button is free. But with that being the case, we do get to see that Gwen fully understands, maybe just a little bit now, that she's speaking to a deity. And thusly, disobeying said deity that could likely just rip her magic out of her, or rip her limb from limb, decides to answer.
After Teniac and Macduff's failures, you send 3 times as many slayers their way.
The result?
2 are routed, and 4 are slain.
No, wait a second, huh? Hold on, let me double check something. I guess I'm not a real Fire Emblem fan. I thought when you routed somebody, they, perished. But no, that just means to make them retreat in disorder. So, okay. 2 of them are gonna escape. Interesting enough. But, like, question. Fat question. Gwen, did you dream again? Have you fallen, like, how much time has passed? Because if fate was supposed to change, and you only get your future premonitions from when you dream, shouldn't you not know what's going to happen next? Shouldn't their next actions be different? Maybe not. Like, she notably says that, just so you know, Arthur, you only slightly change the future by defying fate. Like, even still, a slight change, like, butterfly effect is real. Like, even a slight change can have massive ramifications. And considering what happens later on in this chapter, there are massive ramifications, so I don't know. It seems a little bit strange that she's so confident. I mean, like, maybe this has to do with the fact that, Arthur is just entirely taking her word for it, and Gwen may just not know, because sure, she may be 72 in a not even 16, at a 12-year-old body, but maybe she just makes a mistake here. But I think this may have to do with the fact, no, we even see her face, so I'm not sure, because unless something else occurs based on the end of this chapter that somehow gets them to Dalmary, what Gawain, or I keep saying Gawain, why are there 2 characters with G? It's just that. It's just name association in my head. But then again, I always got Tristan and Percival mixed up too. And their names sound nothing alike. They were just in generally the same narrative spot. But I always got them confused. They don't even look alike. What is wrong with me? Like, I need a brain check. But regardless, we do get to see that with this being established that, okay, double the number of attackers, so they keep failing. we see that Ironside proposes, oh, well, okay, then why not pit them against twice as many? Ironside, why don't you just jump them? Not twice as many. Why don't you just get the whole army? Just what else do you guys have to wait for? Like, what are you guys defending? Like, no one's gonna invade your realm because they can't reach it. And you have all the resources in the world. Just jump them. Don't send twice as many. Call everyone. Call literally everyone. I'm not exactly sure how many people you have on the payroll, but just flashing back to that one room we saw 15 years ago at this point. Remember all those holy knights we saw in that room? Where are all they? Jump them. Just jump them. Just absolutely jump them. Don't send twice as many. Don't send thrice as many. Don't even send twice as many. Send everyone. And I mean everyone. Yes, including your own son. But regardless, we do get to see that Arthur brings up an interesting point.
Human resources are limited, to say the least, and this is unlikely to be a simple matter of overwhelming them with numbers. Lord Ironside.
So interesting. If human resources are limited, why not just make more? Like, I'm sorry, maybe I'm just like too caught up, but like when I think of like reality warp, especially ones of Chaos's level, where they can just, not even reality warp, but just creators that can just poop out more. Why not just poop out more? Like why not? I mean, there's no reason not to. Like, you could just make another Macduff and Teniac and make them stronger this time. Ain't no reason not to. Or like, why not just buff people more? Like, presumably Jericho, either she got her buff from being in the world beyond with Lancelot, or what I like to assume is that she got her buff from Arthur. So why not just buff more people? If you can bestow multiple magics, because presumably all humans are born with an innate magic, unless Teniac was a weird mutant that wasn't. So if Teniac could get her magic gifted to her, why not just gift more magics to other people? You literally have the ability to produce gloves that multiply your power 3 to 5 times. Why not equip everybody with that? Like, there are efficient ways to do this, Ironside, and I respect the idea, you know, doubling them up, setting them up with 12 people, you get 3 knights per night, and that would make sense. It's a solid idea, but you guys could do so much more. And once again, and I know, I gotta sit back and separate myself from the idea. And remember, we need to have a plot, and the knights need to win somehow. They need to survive, at least. Sure, let's say for some reason, somehow, in the world of Four Knights of the Apocalypse of all places, there's gonna be a bad ending. Sure, the knights need to last a while. But like, when I don't separate myself and remember, oh yeah, silly me, we need to have a narrative and a plot where characters, you know, go on a long-term adventure. Yeah, I kind of forget that on occasion. And in verse, there's really no reason why everyone isn't being called. It's not like there's any other threats they need to worry about. At least in particular, like notably the Sins, obviously. But it's not the Sins who are fated to destroy Camelot. It's what's the title of the series again? Oh yeah, the Four Knights of the Apocalypse. They should be your number one priority at all times. They are literally just the number one thing you should be taking down at all times. So why you don't? Plot. And I hate saying that, though. That's the only reason. Like, I think that's the issue with making Arthur so powerful without giving him any stated weakness or any stated, like, power limit or something like that. There's no reason for him to not end the plot now. So every time he doesn't, it feels like, Nakabai, see your hand again. Put that hand away, Nakabai, I can see it. Like I mentioned last chapter, I can kind of see Nakaba, like, pushing the plot forward and like making top-down executive decisions that don't make sense in verse. This is the biggest one right here. Arthur and his inactivity, until it gets explained, is one of the biggest. Nakaba shoving his, like we always joke about in versus battle, we need to shove our hand up the character's butt and just move him around optimally. Yeah, this is Nakaba shoving his hand up Arthur's butt and moving him around unoptimally. Like, this is just literally, he's making some of the worst plays imaginable while being hilarious and very intimidating while doing it still, but these still are the worst plays imaginable. And we see that Arthur says to Ironside,
Lord Ironside, I'll leave you to choose the 6. And one more. Let's add your brother-in-law and make it 7. Because I love the number 7. Like the 7 deadly sins. Ah, don't you dare say their name!
But we see that Ironside brings up something interesting. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point.
But he's in my garden.
And we see that Arthur's like, wait a second. I expect her to talk back to me because she's dumb. But you, Ironside, go. Your king commands it. And interesting, what does he mean by the garden? Maybe this is his own little pocket reality. Once again, we don't know properly how Camelot works. And we know that Jericho was very specifically offered a world, not a little building or home with a fake Lancelot. No, a world with her own Lancelot. And there's no reason. Like, if Cath, with a fraction of Cass's power, can poop out a pocket dimension, it wouldn't be all too shocking to me if Arthur, with a full understanding, or not full understanding, but the full ability of chaos, could pop out a pocket dimension or two. And the whole garden idea could hypothetically make sense on why, a certain somebody ends up being real or not real. Obviously, Deirdre. So there are questions up in the air with this whole idea of the garden. And notably, the reason I'm putting so much emphasis in it is, one, because the quote-unquote garden we see has not a singular plant, and two, it's in parentheses. Like, you don't put something in parentheses unless it has a double meaning. So garden obviously means something more than just like a place where you put plants. I refuse to believe otherwise. Maybe I'm just like overanalyzing everything like I usually do, but still, I don't know. Some here seems a little bit suspicious, if you ask me. A little bit suspicious. But with that being the case, we do get to see in this garden of Ironsides, two people are clashing. And I just noticed that. Sweet mother of mercy, that jump scared me. So, in this garden, they're fighting on a rock face, and I literally mean a rock face. Like, it's like they're standing on the flat top of a rock that has a face that's floating in the void. What is Camelot? What is Camelot? I just need, you know what I really need? I need Nakama to say it's a universe. I need him to say it's a space-time. You don't even have to tell me it's a universe. Just say it's a space. Nakama, slide it to me. Slide it to me under the table. You don't have to tell anyone else. Just send me the official statement with your signature that this is a separate time space, and just let me have it. Let me have it, Nakama. Let me have it. Because you've been doing some crazy stuff recently. Like, what is this rock face? However, we see two people are clashing on it, and one has a short sword and one has a longer sword, and the person we see swinging and blinging is Deirdre. And why do I say his name like that? Deirdre. Deirdre. I don't know why. Like, I put more, like, the way I usually say it, I put more tongue into it. That sounds so, you know what I mean. Like, you know how people roll their R's? Like, that's usually when I say Deirdre. Like, Deirdre. That's why it almost sounds like two words whenever I say it normally. But if I try to just say it flat, like Deirdre. Yeah, like, my tongue doesn't, like, hit the roof of my mouth like it usually does whenever I say Deirdre. I'm not sure why. I have no idea why I even say it. Like, how do you guys pronounce it if you even do say it on a regular basis? I know I say so many names and things from anime and manga, and then I realize, like, yeah, most people don't actually say these things out loud. And mostly type it up. So if you would say it, how would you pronounce it? Give me phonetic spelling down below. But regardless, we do get to see that Deirdre, as they're swinging, suddenly has to flinch and hold still as a blade is now at their neck. And we see the blade gets put back, and a certain someone says, "All right, let's leave it here." And Deirdre, huffing and puffing, is like, "I knew it. Oh, you're so strong, Uncle." And we see that Uncle somebody, it's Mortlock. One, this does make sense, right? Because here we do get to see, let me say what Mortlock says before I start talking about Mortlock and why a lot of things are put into perspective here. We see that, I almost said Deirdre. We see that Mortlock is like, "Wow, well, Deirdre, when did you get stronger all of a sudden? Have you been practicing your sword work behind my back?" And we see the Deirdre's like, "Don't tell father, all right? He'll worry about me." And interesting. So Mortlock is Ironside's brother-in-law, and technically by proxy, well, not by proxy, just due to that, he is Deirdre's uncle. So, because if hypothetically, if that's the case, then Mortlock should also be Percy's uncle. If, and only if, Ironside has the same wife. Or if Deirdre and Percy have the same mom. Which the end of this chapter may imply that they don't. So maybe Mortlock isn't Percy's uncle, But by getting introduced to Diodra's uncle, we technically got introduced to Percy's uncle. And if you remember, way back in time, back to reality, we've seen Mortlock before. He's the one who specifically came and told his brother-in-law, hey, bro, there's a 7 deadly sins level threat roaming around here. We need to dip now. Like, we need to go right this instant. So Mortlock, he's up there in terms of ability, but if he's running from 7 deadly sins level threats, why does Arthur want to send him along? And notably, Arthur, once again, probably does not care all too much about the lives of his people, even if he does say human resources are limited. He probably doesn't care all too much, but like, as long as Lance is there, there's no point. Like, I legit, considering I do believe Gwen told him that the Knights will be splitting up, Arthur, why not wait? Like, why not wait until Tristan and the limited Tristan platoon isolates themselves? Why not wait until Percy and Gawain isolate themselves from Lance? Like, Lance will literally be alone. Like, why not wait a little bit longer? Like, hypothetically, if we're being completely real, I mean, Tristan likely would have handled it. But if we're being completely honest, well, maybe not, because they would all likely be together. But Macduff and Teniac could have picked off more people if Lance wasn't there. And if Tristan wasn't there. But Tristan and Lance were there. And so was Percy. So they were in a rough spot anyway. But I feel like they could have done some more damage. As long as Arthur was just a bit more patient. And considering he's more than patient enough to let them wander around and go, get stronger, I'm shocked he's not just waiting longer until they separate to, do his thing. However, we do get to see that Deirdre and Mortlock do have a very strong familial resemblance. They do actually look like each other a lot, which is making me wonder more and more. Maybe Deirdre's real? Like, I still don't think so, though. Mainly because of the timeline. I just have there's still so much mystery behind it, though. Like, I'm not exactly sure. There's too much missing information in terms of, like, how does Varghese tie into this? How does Percival tie into this? Does Mortlock know Percy's his nephew? Is Percy even really his nephew? Like, I don't know. There's so many weird things behind this that I know Nakaba is doing it on purpose. Like, he's very specifically giving us super sparse amounts of information just so he can build a narrative, and I'm fine with that. Like, once again, one of my favorite things about Seven Deadly Sins in its earlier days, before we knew pretty much everything, was the mystery of it. So I'm happy to have this mystery, though it's definitely making me wonder. It's making me wonder a whole lot. But I like being invested in the stories, and we see that. Mortlock's like, then keep it in moderation. Yeah, I got you, uncle. Oh, my lungs, they're collapsing. And we see that Mortlock's like, well, keep them things uncollapsed, or else your dad's gonna give me a big scolding later. And that's interesting. So Deirdre, even in this garden of sorts, is still physically weak. He's able to wield a sword. He is able to fight somewhat. But once again, in comparison to his brother, parentheses, question mark, close parentheses, like, brother, I guess. In comparison to his brother, he's very weakly constituted. Once again, may just feed into the idea that I mentioned earlier. Arthur may be fully capable of making people in his own realm, and they may not be that physically powerful, or just may not be stable enough to do things. And obviously, hypothetically, let's go with another idea, that Deirdre is based off of the baby that Ironside brought into Camelot, but, Deirdre actually wasn't alive. And Arthur essentially is kind of just puppeteering and growing, a not alive child. Like, maybe that's why Deirdre's body is so weirdly constituted. Like, I don't know. There's, once again, the mystery behind why Deirdre's like this. Could just be a kid that was born with a frail constitution. It happens. People are just born weaker than other people. It'd be like that when it be like that, especially when it be like that. But knowing Nakaba, it can't be like that when it be like that, especially when it be like that. However, we do get to see that as Deirdre and Mortlock walk along, Deirdre asks, hey, uncle, tell me what happens next in that story. Oh, sure. I think it was at the part where me and my big sister, your mom, I mean, were at Belford when we were kids. Belford was this motley old pleasure district from the far north of old Camelot. Okay. So Anyone else getting Daki and Gyutaro vibes? Like what were you doing in a pleasure district? Ironside. Is this something you want to tell me, bro? Like, I don't know. Maybe pleasure district means something else that I just don't know. I'm not gonna Google it because I have certain ideas and I do not need to have pleasure district in my search history. But with that being the case, what was your mom doing, Deidre? Was she doing only nights instead of OnlyFans, only nights? Was she trying to make a quick stack, some fat stacks? Is that why she? Oh Lord, is that why she perished? Did she get a sickness from her less savory word? Nah, let me not start throwing assumptions around. I don't know what pleasure district means in this context. Not gonna be throwing around words left and right. Who knows? Who knows what this means? But Belfort does not sound like a town where you want to raise kids. Let's just say that. Let's just say that. Let's just say that's a district you do not want to raise your children in. However, we do get to see that Marla continues. One day, when me and my sis ran away to go drinking and gambling there, our dad found us and gave us a good whipping. Interesting. So, I'm a little confused. Oh, well, actually, no. No, see, look, I threw a whole bunch of false accusations on Ironside's wife's name, because that's not even the case. I think it was the part where me and my big sister, your mom, were at Belfort when we were kids. Belfort. So yeah, they were only visiting Belfort. They were likely nobles of some sort of kind or something like that before. They were just going there to drink and gamble. Okay. So never mind. I'm sorry. My apologies, Ironside's wife. I did not mean to throw those accusations at you. But with that being the case, we do get to see that when bringing this up, Mortlock tries to teach his nephew, hey, whatever you do not be like me and your mom. Me and your mom were wilding out, and you cannot be wilding out, especially with your constitution. I can imagine what your liver would do if you put a little bit of... And we do get to see that the Uldra's like,
why does Father lie? Father always says that Britannia is a terrifying world full of danger. I hate feeling so curious about it.
And that's interesting. Diosdra knows, notably he was smiling here, but he goes on to say this, and that's interesting. He knows his father's lying. And once again, this does feed into the idea that I mentioned a while back now, that hypothetically, maybe, possibly, if you will, that the key to getting into Camelot will not be any Chaos Knight. It will not be any individual that was once an enemy turned into an ally. No, the way they get into Camelot and reach and breach that barrier is through Diodra. Because he's already showing interest about the outside world, which once again makes me believe he's real. Like, the question whether or not he's real or not is so interesting to me. Because why would a creation of Arthur suddenly want to see the outside world? Why? I mean, like, to be fair, Arthur's powers are chaotic, for lack of a better term. So, like, maybe it's just that, like, it's the inherent contradiction. Sure, it understands that it cannot live without Camelot and it will not be able to survive in the real world, and it knows that it's mainly just there to exist as a vessel or a toy for Arthur to keep around to keep Ironside loyal. Maybe, but then it still wouldn't make sense for it to desire the real world. So I have no idea. Very interesting situation that Diodra is. I can't even say is in, but a very interesting situation that Diodra is. And we see that Mortlock is like, Diodra, I understand how you feel, but what my brother says aren't lies either, you know? All you can say for sure is that my brother loves you from the bottom of his heart. And that's true. That is true. Once again, Ironside being a W father, and at the same time, I suppose just an L father? Like, the dichotomy of Ironside is ever intriguing, because he has both sides of the spectrum nailed down. However, with that being the case, we do get to see that Mortlock is reassuring Diodra and telling him that what Ironside says aren't lies, meaning that Britannia is a world of terrifying danger. And, like, that is true from a certain point of view. Like, hypothetically, just the world of Seven Deadly Sins itself is not the safest place to live in. As much as I love the world of Seven Deadly Sins and its characters, it's nowhere near a world I want to live in because of how dangerous it is. Like, you could just be walking down the street and get ganked by, like, bandits, thieves, random monsters, demon clan, demon king loyal. Like, legitimately, you can just get ganked at random. And if you're just a dude with no magical abilities or no, like, decent power, you can get done in. And heck, even if you are a dude with decent magical abilities, Hauser's had 16 years of training and he's only as strong as Matrona. After going through a holy war, bro's had nothing but time to get his gains up and he's not even above, like, a singular commandment. We are not Hauser. And we will never be Hauser. We probably wouldn't even reach start of series Hauser or Gilthunder in terms of raw stats. So yeah, the Seven Deadly Sins world is actually super duper dangerous. Britannia is a rough spot to live. So from a certain point of view, yeah, you know, Deodra is right to fear that place. And Ironside is telling the truth, and Mortlock is reaffirming that. And we do get to see that as they're talking about Ironside, speak of him and he shall appear. A dark bird shows up. And we see that Mortlock goes from the lighthearted, playful, oh man, I love my nephew, to immediately sobering up and getting way more serious. And he says, brother. And Ironside responds, I have a dispatch request from His Majesty. Incidentally, I'm immobilized with work as well. Roger that. I'll leave turret and Roths here. We will take care of Sir Deodra. I apologize, my nephew. Oh wait, no. That's Ironside saying, I apologize. I leave it to you, Mortlock. Dude has a super derpy design. If you couldn't tell, that's why I drew it. I really, really like his design. But with that being the case, we have two new characters. We have, oh my sweet mother, Arthur. Not only be hiding so many details in the background that I just don't be paying attention to. Like, one, there's that floating maze up in the sky. And two, there's a weird demon thing or statue of some sort looking at Roths and Turret. And they're both here, servants, protecting Deodra, presumably. And we don't get much of a good look at them, but it looks like one of them has a demon mark. Like, unless, it may just be a birthmark. Hold on, let me see. Do we see? I can't tell. But they're standing in the background watching the two. But the dude seems to have a demon mark, and the one that looks like a girl is the one who says we'll take care of Sir Deodra. Interesting. I wonder what their role is, if they're going to have one. However, with that being the case, we see that Mortlock strolls off to get the job done. And we cut away to a beautiful morning in a beautiful town. And we see a group of people standing over a casket. In this group is the four Knights of the Apocalypse and their remaining allies standing over the body of Jade. And notably, it's rough. Rough stuff, if you will. Seeing everyone just standing over the body. Thetis has teleported in, presumably to take Jade back and, you know, give him a proper burial and all that good stuff. Probably explain to his parents that he got GG'd by a blind man. Rough stuff. And we do get to see that Thetis says, I didn't think we'd suffer a casualty so soon. It's a shame. Fine. I'll take responsibility for Jade's body and bring him home. And we see Isolde's like, Jade, rest in peace. All you had to do was let him hit. But regardless, we do get to see that Donnie's like, we'll hold out for you, man. Donnie, at least Nasiens is insane, because Nasiens is gonna, I don't know. I'm on the camp that Donnie's going. I'm on the camp that legitimately every single side character except for Isolde and Anne are going. I don't know why. Well, I know why, but I don't know why. I just feel it in my bone. Like, Nasiens is definitely not making it. Chion probably is not making it. Donnie made it. Like, everyone else, though, the Knights plus the love interest, they gotta be fine. I don't see Nakaba going that dark, but I can definitely see people falling like dominoes. I don't know. I'm not sure. Donnie, how long are you gonna be able to hold out, bro? Because Nakaba, he looking at you kind of funny. You may want to run away. But with this being the case, we see that Thetis is like, you cannot stop the mission here. You are to continue looking for clues to get to Camelot. And we see that Tristan asks, Lady Thetis, we were actually provided with strong information about that. And she asks, information from who? And we see someone made it. Someone made it. They are back in human form, though. They are back in disguise and are wearing a much simpler outfit. And we see Tristan reveals she is called Lady Io, and she is a demon. Now, I'll admit I was wrong. All right, I'll take it. I mean, I'm not bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm far from unhappy. Yeah, I think I'm far from unhappy that Io's alive. I'm glad her whole team didn't get packed. They had really cool designs. So I'm happy she made it. Just wasn't expecting it. The way Nagabo was going was definitely not expecting it. And we do get to see that, certain members of the crew aren't too happy to see her. Chion and Isolde especially. Obviously for good reason, right? Once again, if Tristan hadn't wandered off with Io, Jade wouldn't be alive. Or, no, Jade would be alive. He isn't alive right now, but he would be alive if Io hadn't come in and, caused so much ruckus, if you will. And we do get to see that she apologizes. I'm so sorry. Because of me, you lost a cherished comrade. And we see that Anne is about the business. She's like, I don't care how sorry you feel, you dumb, bubblegum, friend-stealing, stupid head. If you have any intel that can get us to Camelot, tell us now. Before I won't clap your cheeks. Before I let Gawain clap your cheeks with her mighty magical meat. And we see that Anne declares, if it turns out to be wrong, we'll never forgive you. And Io nods. She proceeds to say, all right then. Now, let's go. Come follow me. And she just starts walking off. Like, ma'am, you were supposed to give intel. This is not intel. Though, it's Donny specifically is like, follow you where? If you're going to tell us something, we're just going to go to Dalmary. Or no, if you're just telling us to go to Dalmary. And we see that Io reveals the big, massive plot changer here. No, where we are headed is the demon realm. Yes, sir! Yes! 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 I gotta drink some water. I'm drinking water. Yeah, baby! That's what I'm waiting for! Yes! 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 We're finally getting it, bro. We're finally, oh, my toes are curling right now, bro. My toes are curling! I didn't know my toes could curl that much. They're intertwining. Sweet mother of mercy. Yes! Yeah, we're gonna see Zeldris, y'all! I almost fell out my chair. But we're gonna see Zeldris and Gelda and their kids! Yes! Hallelujah, bro! Like, yes. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm so geeked. We're gonna see my boy. My son. My oldest son. Meliodas is not my son. Elizabeth is the daughter. But my son. My boy. Actually, Bond is also my son. No, he's not. Bond's not my son. So yeah, Zeldris, my oldest son. We're gonna see him. Presumably, if we go, I swear, if Nakaba in his infinite wisdom takes us all the way to the demon realm and I don't get to see my son and his kids and his wife, I'm gonna cry. I can't do anything else. I'm gonna cry. But this isn't like, even as cruel and as twisted and as diabolical as Nakaba Suzuki is, I don't think we're not gonna see Zeldris. I don't think he's that cruel, that twisted, that diabolical. He's still he's crazy, but he's not that crazy, right? Right, Nakaba? You're crazy, but you're not that crazy, right, Nakaba? But like, I think so. I think we're gonna see Zeldris, and I'm hyped. Though this does raise a bunch of questions. Obviously, Lance should be fine. He's more than powerful enough. Tristan is half demon himself. Shouldn't bother him too much. And we know that even another human goddess hybrid like Elizabeth, who had a pretty much entirely human body, could also survive just fine in the demon realm. Heck, even Percy with his really high advanced endurance and his strange biology should be just fine. On top of that, he could just code himself into his magic. That should be all good and well. But oh, even Gawain too. Gawain, she has the grace. And we know that the grace protects you against a lot of demonic stuff. So presumably, it could be rationaled out or reasoned that she could resist the realm. But Chion? Donny? Nasiens? Isol? Anne? Are they going to be able to survive there? Because, like, unless, notably this image of the demon world that we get, I'm not sure if this is what the demon world actually looks like right now. It's very disorienting with all like the different beasts and creatures and the weird stalagmites and rock structures and all that. But I don't know from it looks like the demon world is a bit less miasma-esque or filled with miasma. It's kind of like what the supreme deity did in Cursed by Light actually had like a remaining effect and the miasma still cleared a bit. So maybe they'll be fine there. Maybe it's just the miasma that would have got them, but the miasma's cleared up a bit. If so, great. I'm happy. I'm great to see. It's going to be super interesting to see the demon realm. Once again, the demons were mainly just antagonists for all the original series. So seeing how they live, seeing how they interact, seeing Dolcemonte's home. I'm excited. I'm super duper excited. I'm glad Nakaba's taking us down this path. As much as I like the human world building and I like getting to learn more and more about Britannia, it's always great to see the other realms. Because they are, like, I consistently joke about the idea that Britannia was super underexplored in original series 7 Deadly Sins. But you want to talk about some really unexplored realms? It's all the other non-human realms. We get the most we get any screen time for, realistically, is the fairy realm. And even then, that's mostly just a tree. We don't necessarily get to see too much of the fairy realm either. So, if we're going to start exploring all the realms, I'm excited. I'm super duper excited for this. Shouts to Nakaba. Broke my ankles. Once again, the man he's beastly when it comes to snapping my poor boys. I need to get these things fixed and put in the cast. With that being the case, Percy's like, oh, Nani, the demon realm. What's it like? And to be fair, he shouldn't know. And I think about it, none of the characters that collapse, like, I love how Io just looks at Donny, Nasiens, and Anne, who all collapse, but, like, they shouldn't know either. They've never been there before. It makes sense. It would make sense if Lance collapsed, because he would know, so would Tristan. I'm not sure if they would know. However, that being the case, we see that... I've seen it. Donny says something that has... me, like, I'm squinting my eyes. I'm narrowing them. I've even seen it on Reddit, on the thread on Reddit. I've seen it where someone's like, oh, the scalers ain't gonna be happy about this one. But I'm gonna take this as Donny being unknowledgeable, unless the only way Nakaba could ruin everything I've done. Not really. It's too late. He's already gotten the Versaplanetary with chaos, so it's already too late, Nakaba. You can't go back from that. But Donny says the demon realm is demon country, obviously. Now, demon country, like that he doesn't say it's a demon country or a country-sized landmass or anything like that. So do I think this suddenly instantly debunks the demon world's a separate realm in a separate space that has a star? No. Cursed by Light literally showed us a star in the demon realm. Do I think this immediately puts the Demon King to, like, country level? No. It would put him higher than Large Island level, though. But when that being the case, we do get to see that Nasiens is like, oh, maybe it would help you understand if I said it was Dolcemonte's home. And then when Percy was like, Dolcemonte, the thick, girthy, juicy Chad. I love Dolcemonte. And we see that Io actually reacts to Percival. And she leans down and looks at him. And he asks, what's wrong, miss? Is there something on my face? And she asks, clearly, are you Percival? Huh? And the chapter ends with the narrator clearly saying, Io knows Percival. To be continued in chapter 103, Come to the Demon Realm. So, we already all thought, everyone and their mama thought it was a little bit strange, a little bit coincidental, a little bit off-putting, that Percival was so well acquainted with demon language. He has such a weird magic. His other state was inspired and brought upon by darkness. Bro was already pretty heavily associated with the demon realm. So him having ties to it, kinda bonkers. However, I'm not going to jump the gun on this. I'm not going to assume this means anything until we get explicit confirmation that it does, because it could easily be written off as Io just recognizing Percival as one of the knights that Arthur told her about and being shocked about how small he is, like everyone else has been shocked about how small he is. Who knows? I'm not sure. However, overall, mega W chapter with the conversation with Arthur at the beginning, the introduction, or not necessarily introduction, but the characterization of Mortlock and the further characterization of the Odra, the little extra bits of detail and history we get on them is great. I'm super excited to obviously see the stuff that goes on with the demon realm. Got my socks knocked off. My things are curling like crazy. Super duper excited. And if you made it all the way to the end of this video, you know what time it is. It's password time. I'm going to see if I can do this consistently for these girthy boys, because golly, I be talking. The password is Jade Pack. Jade Pack. Leave Jade Pack down below if you made it all the way to the end. If you did make it all the way here, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, hit that little notification so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, we do a Patreon below, either as low as $1 This is videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Zach with the Pencil, writing off.